2, 1. And we're here. We're here. Hi.
So we have some news, everybody.
Yeah, anyone who's watching right now.
Is there anyone watching right now?
I don't know. I can never tell because I feel like sometimes I can see who's watching and sometimes I just can't. So.
It's a mystery.
It's
just reveal yourself if you're watching right now. Let us know. Okay.
Yeah. So, we're wondering if Olly's watching because we can't find him.
Olly Ludwig, who we're going to have on, who we have marketed, is not available right now. So we're going to have him at another time, hopefully.
Yeah.
And therefore, Debriana and I have nothing prepared to make.
Because we were thinking we had the night off.
That's right. 30 shows in a row.
31.
We're looking forward to the 31st night off.
Yeah, it's our first night off, and oh no.
But it's okay. Through the magic of Facebook Live, we can do other things. It's not like people are going to be disappointed. I mean, it will
not without things to talk about.
Yes. We want to ask you, massive audience, some questions about, we're trying to figure out what direction to take the show. And one of the questions we have to the group, to the wonderful members,
membership,
almost 2,000 people. If we continued Facebook Live, let's just say once a week, and then we had tons of special content like chefs and comedians and actors and recipe books and special educational videos and other things about cooking on a, say, Patreon account for, say, like, I don't know,
$3, $5 a month.
$3 to $5 a month. Is that something that you would think would be worth it and, you'd be into? Because that could give us some funds to do some really fun things.
Yeah.
Just throwing it out there.
we could have all kinds of special content on there, and we could certainly take input from you guys about what you would want to have on as special content. We don't know where Olly is.
Your story has become tiresome. Where's Olly?
Jim Nelson.
Hi. We don't know where Olly is. We've reached out, and there may be maybe there was a time difference thing because he's not in Mountain Standard Time. So we're wondering if that's what happened.
Basically, let's just say this in French. Nous ne savons pas. Okay? We don't know.
Where's Olly?
We don't know where he is.
Okay, here maybe. I can put a feed under.
Where's Olly?
Kind of like, where's Waldo?
That's kind of where it is right now.
Kind of what it is. I cannot express I really wanted to learn about his pâte brisée.
Me too.
But it's fine. I'm sure there's a logical explanation. Hi. Who is that? We can't see
that.
Donald Davenport.
Oh, it's Donald Davenport. Donald. Oh, sure. Say hi to Lisa, not me. Oh, there you are. Well, I'm just going to scroll things underneath it now.
Where is Olly? Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
We don't know.
So that was one thing no one cares, but we were just asking about the show model. And then the other thing we wanted to talk about was if we did a special episode like, say,
episode.
Yeah, like a chopped episode where I bring a basket over to Debriana of surprises and then she does it to me and we have 30 minutes. What do you think about that?
Would that be fun? Would that be hilarious? What would you want to see it? I don't know.
We're also thinking about some different types of guests. Maybe someone's going to do some cocktails because there was an express interest in that.
Yeah. And how about you, Donald Davenport?
Our one watcher.
Would you like to be on our show? I know you can cook.
No comment.
Did I hear one viewer leave?
There are 4. I see 4.
Oh, David sees 4. I don't know. I can't see them on my end. I see something come up, but not everybody does.
Yeah, I don't see any. I just see questions. I don't see who they're from. The other thing is, okay, coming up on Corona Kitchen, tomorrow night, I'm going to dust off my fondue and I'm going to make some fondue.
Oh, yay.
On Monday.
80s, whenever fondue was popular, 60s, I don't know. When were people doing fondue?
70s. That's total 70s.
70s.
I think. Well, 60s. No, you're right. Mad Men kind of era.
Yeah.
Era. Okay, and then Debriana on Monday is going to make.
I made homemade ricotta. So I am going to be stuffing a chicken with ricotta and pesto.
Yum! You don't want to miss that.
Somebody texted Olly. Who did?
Yeah.
Someone knows him personally.
Jim.
Somebody did.
Jim
Wow.
Nelson.
Jim, how do you know Olly, Jim? You have to talk to us.
We're just winging it here.
So.
Yeah. Oh.
On your show. I am on your show. What?
Yeah, that's true, but nobody can see you, so that's not really fair.
Send him the link. Have him come.
I can send you the link now. Would you join us if I sent you the link?
Let's just, laugh for the rest of the 20 minutes.
Yeah, we can send Donald the link. Don't tempt me, Donald. You're going to be on in 2 seconds here.
Okay, Debriana, you have any other show updates that you want to talk about?
Let me think. Oh, wait. I just got a text message.
Drum roll.
I have an update, a live on the air update. Okay, so sorry, I was in the shower. No, that wasn't Olly. That was Olly's gal. Can you send?
Oh my God.
We're using my Zoom account. No. I have to instruct them. Lisa, talk.
Okay, so it's not Zoom.
No.
All right, so live Facebook. Let's talk about some food movies, shall we? Okay, so I was just telling Debriana she had not seen the Trip movies. Now, for all of you,
the Trip movies.
For all of you foodies out there, oh my God, Steve Coogan, the comedian actor, did these 3 films with his best friend, who's also a stand-up comedian. The first one's called The Trip. I think the second one's called The Trip to Spain, and I think the third one's called The Trip to Italy. And they are hysterical. And if you need to laugh right now, I highly recommend them. And they're all about food.
I can't wait.
So funny. Really well done.
Okay, I'm sending the link now. We'll see. Maybe we may have somebody join us.
Let's see if another movie I was just thinking about the other day was Like Water for Chocolate.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That was the last thing I read to Kim Stanley when she was sick in the hospital.
You read her Like Water for Chocolate?
I did.
Wow.
I did. Just
I love that film. I haven't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, I was with Kim when she was dying.
Wow.
And, yeah, it was a pretty amazing experience. I was just so blessed to know her. And in my life, it was one of the greatest compliments anyone ever paid me as an actor. I thought when she said she was a fan of my work, I was like, I can stop now.
Wow.
Yeah, so that I had a lovely relationship with her. I know she was difficult for a lot of people, but when I met her, she was in a different place, and we had a lovely relationship. And that was what I was reading her when.
Oh, that's a great story. Maybe we should talk about screen legends that we've worked with.
Yeah. That would be an interesting thing to talk about.
I
Okay.
I was thinking back to the time when Tom Hanks asked me if he could get me a coffee. And I said, "Surely, Mr. Hanks, we have someone who can do that for you." And he said, "No, I would like to do it for you. What would you like?" And I was like, "Okay."
That's very nice. What were you working on?
I forget what film he had just finished. I want to say that one about the pirates in Africa, Captain Phillips, or something. It was something like that. And we were doing a special behind the scenes, and we had him for like 2 hours. Really small crew, just hanging out with Tom, and he was the nicest man.
That's what everybody says about him.
And he was joking with us. And there's somewhere footage of him telling some really dirty jokes, but they weren't like offensive. They were just funny. They were actually really funny. They were not appropriate at all. But it was so shocking. He probably hated if he ever saw this, but it's just shocking to see somebody like him be like a normal person. But he was so good to everybody on the set, all the crew. Super funny. Got us all coffee.
Well, they might be clicking the link soon. We'll see. They just might be late.
Okay, so we could have Chef Olly. It actually could happen.
It may actually happen.
We should put it on the banner. Chef Olly might be here in a few minutes. Hang on.
Okay. I will scroll that across the bottom.
There is a possibility that he will show up any second.
I'm going to say maybe here any minute.
There's nothing like,
hold on to your pie crust.
hey, someone's going to be on a show, and then
I know, right? Oh my God. Well, that's what happens when you
shower.
There's a shower.
Hold on your pie crust. You know, we're feeling really loved right now, okay?
Yeah.
Feeling like we're important. People be on
Right. My favorite food movie is Babette's Feast, I think.
That is a great film.
And the Stanley Tucci Big Night movie. That was definitely a big fave.
Big Night is a beautiful, beautiful film.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I like also, well, I don't know if you remember this movie. It was called Who Killed the Great Chefs of Europe?
Oh, no. I never saw that.
I really want to see it. I remember seeing it as a kid, and it was like a whodunit murder, and they were all great chefs, and they would kill people in the food. And I was kind of obsessed with it.
That's funny.
Yeah, I just thinking about that the other day. What about that one? Well, they did a remake with Catherine Zeta-Jones called No Reservations, but the original one was called Martha's Kitchen or something.
Oh, I don't know that one either.
It was a German movie about a female chef. It was so good. And then they made the American remake with Aaron Eckhart and Catherine Zeta-Jones. Not so great.
Not so good.
But it was the first one was really good. Can't remember what it is now. That was Martha's something.
That I don't know.
Yeah. Did you see that movie Burnt with Bradley Cooper?
Burnt?
It's called Burnt.
No.
He didn't know how to cook, and Thomas Keller was the food consultant.
Oh, how fun.
And so
it wasn't a documentary, it's a real movie.
Yeah, it's a real scripted film about it. Of course, dickhead chef. What else is new? And who finds himself and whatever. And it wasn't that. I thought it was a pretty good movie.
Well, I like Bradley Cooper. Did he write it?
I don't think so. But it's good. And then that one I just saw recently with Jon Favreau. He's like he goes and has a food truck. It's on Netflix. Can't remember what it's called, but it's really good. Oh, it was called Chef.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No, I don't know that one. Okay, he clicked on the link. They're downloading the app. So it's coming.
I could get my tap shoes out.
If I could juggle, I have oranges here, but I can't. So.
I'm drinking raspberry lemon.
I could show you my vegetables that are growing in jars. That's crazy.
Good.
The vegetable growing in jars things has me completely like bowled over. I think it's amazing. I just can't get over that it works.
Well, that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Photosynthesis. It works.
Jillian's showing up. Oh my God, she's here.
Oh my God.
Look, see.
That is so cool. That is so cool.
Hi. Okay, here I'll remove the scroll because you're actually here. Hang on.
Oh my God, we weren't bullshitting everybody.
She's here. Okay. Here she comes. There you go. Hi, Jillian.
Hey, how are you? Are you Lisa?
I'm Lisa. Hi.
Hi, it's nice to meet you. This is so exciting.
You did it. It worked.
I'm just out to promote chefs through your service. I'm just going to keep finding chefs. And
Oh, okay.
I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding.
Where's Olly?
Can you see him?
There he is. Olly.
He's still working on loading it.
Oh, he doesn't have to. If you want to use that right there, we can see him. Can you?
Sure.
Oh, look.
Hold on. There we go.
No, you can only have one of you guys on at a time.
Okay. Then I'm going to go off then.
Yeah, I don't need to be on. I don't need that.
So you got the better phone with the longer
Okay.
line.
Well, now I get to you.
Technical difficulties.
So what about that then?
Yeah, just that. I can see you.
Yeah. Okay, good. All right.
So you want to share on the
Hi.
So we set up Jillian's computer on the counter.
But now you can use your phone.
Here,
is
look.
that somebody's phone? Oh, wow.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow, this is high-tech experience.
Well, sort of ish. So I guess technologically, just how can you guys kind of walk us through this? Because I was thinking, of course, I was getting probably too fancy. I set up this computer on the counter, and of course, it's a very tight frame, right? And so close-ups of like the dough probably not going to happen unless I do this. See what I'm doing with the bowl?
Well, no. Can you just do it from the phone that you're in right now? That just turn that phone on you.
So that would mean that Jillian would be the camera person then.
That's
cool.
correct.
All right. So that's what we'll do. Yeah, she is willing to do it.
Okay.
Awesome.
Okay.
So how do we turn it around?
So, well, you would, yeah. How do you turn it around? You got to go. Can you turn it around? You can turn it around, right?
We're live, by the way.
Get out.
No,
Oh.
everyone's seeing you. Figure this out.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the techno peasant just kind of like rearing his head again, you know.
You know, the crowd is really forgiving. The audience is really forgiving right now.
Yeah, I could imagine. So anyway,
Who's holding the phone now?
I am.
Oh, give it to Jillian.
Okay. But do I?
Now you just follow Olly.
The camera's there, so I guess you would hold it
Yeah.
away from you. Like this, right? You guys can still see me? Yeah, you can still see me, right?
Yeah, we see you.
How do I know there's? I don't know. I know what I'm seeing, but I'm going to go with them. I always listen to the director. So.
You know what you're saying? Yeah. Can you flip it around? What about this? Hold on. Quick test here.
Oh dear.
Oops. They left.
So, you know,
they're back.
We're really dedicated to learning about pie crust. That's all I can say.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, there we are.
Okay, yay!
Yeah, you got it.
There we go. Are we live?
Yeah.
We are?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. So, all right. Well, thanks for having me on Corona Kitchen. You
Yeah,
know, this
you're
is
welcome.
this
Thanks
is
for being here.
this is great. So today I want to make a pie crust.
Thank you. We would love to know
Yeah.
about pie crust.
Pâte brisée to say it in French, which and I guess what we'll do is make the crust and then we'll roll it out and then we'll. I mean, you know, the problem with making a pie crust is it can be a lot of things, right? It can be a tart, it can be a pie, it can be a quiche,
I'm
Lorraine.
trying to
You
move
know?
it around, but
So you know, there's a fork in the road once you've made the pie crust. You know, if you really keep your options open, right? So what I'll do, because I don't want to go through a whole recipe of pie or tart or quiche or whatever, I'll make the pie crust and I'll roll it out, put it in a pie pan, and then we'll do what's called blind baking, where you like pre-cook a crust and you get a little crispiness before you would put something like pumpkin custard or lemon meringue or whatever, right?
yeah.
So that's what we'll do. But I want to be clear that this pâte brisée, this pie crust, could be a lot of things, and
Yeah.
that's the idea. This particular version is not sweetened; it's slightly salted, and you know, salt is the gateway to so many great flavor experiences in the kitchen. You know, even in desserts. You know,
Yep.
that's the secret right now. Even desserts get a salt. You know, at the end of
love
it.
salt.
So this is pâte brisée, and it's a salty crust, very lightly salted. You can barely perceive it. So. Let's get started. You know, the first thing, you know, I'm kind of big on making sure that the kitchen is just the way it should be. So you lay out your ingredients you need, right? In French, they call that mise en place. It's a word that made it over into the English language. Mise en place means put in place. So you get all your ingredients you're going to need. So you know, here's what we need for this recipe. We need flour, obviously. Here's my flour. I've already measured it out, 1.5 cups.
Awesome.
We need salt. I was talking about salt a lot a couple of minutes ago, so we have salt. And then about 1/4 cup of water. And you know, just to talk about recipes for a second, I like to make it simple. You could get a little complicated making pie crusts, but why get complicated when you can make it simple? I start with 1 unit of decadence, which is 1 stick of butter. So I'm going to build my recipe around that idea. 1 stick of butter, as I was saying, 1.5 cups of flour, like 2 healthy pinches of salt, and water. And that is it. The rest is magic. So
is your
one of
water
the things
cold? Is your water
yes,
cold?
the water is cold. And if you're really a maniac, you stick your hands in the freezer. So
Yeah.
you keep your hands cold so you don't melt the butter. The problem
Yeah.
with making pie crust is that butter is like about 12 to 15% by volume water. So you don't want any of that water to be melting before it ever goes in the oven. You want it all to melt and evaporate once it's in the oven. That's what's going to help make a flaky crust, right?
Yep.
So the other thing that's really important, and we can get started now, when you make a pie crust, is you have to have a lot of little pieces of butter spread, sort of distributed evenly through the whole, all the flour, and that way you get a nice even distribution of all the butter. So they talk about in a lot of recipes, you'll often read pea-sized chunks of butter. So I just took the paper off the stick of butter, and what I do to get those pea chunks, I take a chef's knife, whether it's 6 or 8, 10 inch, 12 inch, whatever, depends on the size of your hand. I cut the butter now into many pieces.
So you're not a fan of grating? Have you ever done that?
The freezing the butter?
No, I haven't. I would say that you risk not having huge pockets of butter doing it that way. I know it works. I've seen it done, but I tend to favor with the pea-sized chunk. So if you can put the camera on the knife now, you'll notice.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm
Good work,
cutting
Joe.
it lengthwise.
Thank you.
I'm cutting it lengthwise twice, right? So I essentially have 3 different pieces of butter, right? I'll just break it up so you see what I've done.
Yep.
Right? Put it back together, and I'm going to flip it 90 degrees. I'm going to do the same thing. 2 long cuts lengthwise.
Yep.
Now I have now I have 9 pieces of butter, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Now I'm going to cut it along like as if I were, chopping a carrot. So each of those cuts has 9 pieces.
It's
So
like
I've got
cutting an onion.
9.
But
Sorry?
but butter.
Say
Yeah.
that again, Lisa. I'm sorry.
It's like cutting an onion, but with a stick of butter.
Yeah, I like that. That's exactly what it is. So I've got little, like, cubes of butter.
See,
Okay.
I've never done it that way. That's handy.
So here, see that?
Very
Tiny
nice.
cube. Okay.
So that's the equivalent of the pea-sized chunks that so many recipes talk about, right?
Yep.
So I'm going to dump all the, 81 little pieces of butter now, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to take my 1.5 cups of flour, add it to that.
Okay.
Then I'm going to take my salt. I said, this is sort of subjective. I do 2 big pinches of salt.
And is that sea salt, kosher salt, regular salt?
I like kosher salt because it's got such a great feel in your hand.
Yeah, I
You
like
know what you're dealing with. The
Yep.
finely granulated salt, you kind of lose control. I think with kosher salt, you're really in the driver's seat.
I gotcha.
So I've got
Here,
the flour here. I've got all the little pieces of butter, and now I'm going to play it with it. And I'm going to do this by hand. You could do this with a machine. I like to do it by hand. I'm only making 1 crust right now. So what I'm doing is I'm separating all the little cubes of butter, right?
Mhm.
If you put the camera on, you can see exactly what I'm doing.
I can't tell where the camera
You're
Okay.
on it. You're on it, Jillian. You're doing
Yeah,
great.
we're on it. Okay, good.
you got this, Jillian.
You're hired.
Yeah, you got it. Thank you. So what I'm doing is I'm breaking it all up, all the little cubes. I want it individual, literally, So my hands are all messy. I love that. It's very
Tactile
intimate.
experience. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
hands-on, Ollie. It's hands-on.
It's hands-on. That's the term I was looking for.
Well, you know
Thank
what? That's what it means when you're saying, your love goes into the food. I mean, you're literally handling it with yourself. Your energy's going in
Absolutely.
that food.
Yep. Love the food and it will love you back. That's what the chef said when I went to chef school.
Yeah.
Wow, 22 years ago? Oh my goodness.
That's a good one.
So now I've covered every little piece of butter with the flour, right? See it in my hand?
Yep.
And now I'm going to really start just squeezing it, right?
Yeah.
I want to combine the
usually
flour and the
run it
butter.
through my fingers, so that it gets a little bit of flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm really just working it hard. I'm pushing the two things together, and you're getting somewhere when the white flour starts to get a little yellow colored like the butter.
Yeah.
You know you're making progress, and then you want to keep working it, and it starts to do its magic. It starts to look a little ropey, It's getting more yellow in color. And it gets a little stringy. You see that in my hand?
Yep.
See how
Yep.
those pieces are looking just a little bit stringy? That's exactly what you want. Keep on working it, press it together, really muscle it, and the only thing that you should be mindful of is that if it's hot where you're doing it, you don't want that water to melt in that butter. Because it's going to get away from you. What we're doing here is we're creating gluten. I don't care what corporate America says about gluten being dangerous. Gluten is one of the great accidents of human history.
It so totally is.
Yeah, I think accidentally discovered by the Egyptians. But that's why we have bread. That's why we have cake. That's why we have pie crust, right?
That's right.
So here we are back.
Oh my gosh.
Back to planet Earth. Now here I've done a pretty good job. I've got a yellowish, ropey kind of conglomeration of butter and flour and salt, and now I'm ready for the water.
Okay.
So here we go.
What I usually do, if I sometimes keep an ice cube in the water to make it
Yep.
stay cold.
Me too.
Yep, that's exactly correct. I'm glad you guys said that. I didn't do that. Watch, I'm probably going to blow it. I'm going to say, I should have had an ice cube in there. But maybe I'm just a little bit overconfident over here. But anyway,
Hopefully you'll live up to the hype, Ollie. Hopefully you'll live up to the hype.
Yeah. And if I don't, then we'll just have to see what maybe see.
Yeah,
So I'm going to start to integrate the water slowly, right? Because I want to create the gluten like we were talking about earlier, but not too much. A little bit of gluten is good. Too much gluten is a hard crust. And two things go into gluten creation. Mechanical energy, like the squeezing of my hands,
Mhm.
and humidity, moisture. And I use the word humidity because, if you're in a really humid environment, you probably shouldn't add as much water to your pie crust.
Yeah, we
Something to
need
think about.
more where we are because we're very dry.
Exactly. So you probably use the full amount,
Yeah.
How much water was that, Ollie?
Just now I put, the recipe called for about a quarter cup. I
Okay.
put probably nearly half of it.
Mhm.
And I'm working it again a little bit, and you notice now it's starting to come together, right? And that's what we want.
Yep.
That's what we're looking for. It's not quite there. I want it to totally hold together, so I'm going to add a little more water. And I've got
little by little kind of thing. Yeah.
like 2/3 of the water I've used up now, and I'm getting close. I can feel it, And that's a nice thing. I'm hands-on, like you said, Lisa, and I'm working it together. I think I'm actually really close here. I may not need the full quarter cup of water.
It's like you're saying, some days if they're really humid, you might not use as much water, and some days that are, for us, that are really dry, you might need more. So that it really is a tactile experience.
Exactly. And why? Practice.
Yep.
You learn by touching. The hands-on experience makes a difference. See, it's coming together now, you see?
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Definitely coming together.
That's
You feel it.
That's looking legit.
Yeah, it's legit. Now the last part, now, because you remember the pea-sized pieces of butter.
Yeah.
There's still some clumpiness in here, and you can see these. You probably can't see it exactly, but there's like some yellowish kind of, it's almost like a fine Italian marble or something, And what you want, and this might be kind of arriving at the same effect of the grating that you guys talked about earlier, but this is something that's called fraisage in French. I don't think that word quite has made it into English, but what fraisage is this. What you're doing is you're integrating the flour and the butter, but you're also now bringing a certain artfulness to the presence of the butter in that pie crust. Watch.
Right.
Palm of my hand, and I'm pushing into it, kind of sliding it. And what you get this kind of skid mark of butter in the dough.
Nice.
Called fraisage, and what that will yield at the end of the line is cavities within the pie crust of that butter. And remember the water I talked about, 12 to 15% by volume. When that evaporates, it creates space.
Oh, little flaky pocket.
The little air pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which reminds me, Debriana, you talked about making a pie crust with vodka.
Yes.
Which, the alcohol aspect aside, that's another opportunity to create more space, right? Because what's going to happen to the alcohol when you stick that pie or that quiche or whatever in the oven? It will evaporate, which will leave atmosphere, which means flakiness. I'm not doing that this time. I'm counting on the butter. That should be
all right.
A little more fraisage.
Good Western butter.
Yeah. Unsalted butter, by the way, in this recipe, just so I would have full control of the butteriness of that recipe. This is looking really good. So the thing about gluten creation is gluten is a very elastic substance.
Yep.
And when I say I'm going to put this in the refrigerator and let my crust rest,
yes,
don't laugh because that's really what's going on.
Yeah.
The gluten strands that I've created, I've through that fraisage and all the manipulation, they're kind of agitated and they've been elongated. And when I put it in the refrigerator to rest, the gluten is going to shrink. Going to rest. It's going to stop moving. And the reason why you do that is because if I were to go straight into my recipe, stick this in a pie pan, it's going to shrink anyway. It literally will shrink, and it will
contract too much.
Yeah, and then suddenly the crust doesn't fit in your pie pan, and you can prevent that. That's why you let a crust rest. So I'm going to put this in the refrigerator now.
Okay.
And I'm gonna do what people do on cooking shows is they cheat. I'm gonna do a swap out. I'm gonna put this in the refrigerator. I'm not really gonna wait 20 minutes for it to rest.
Is that how long you let it rest? 20 to 30?
Yeah.
Okay.
And by the way, I was talking about practicing. Hey, you can stick this in the refrigerator and it'll last, a week or two.
Yep.
So you could even freeze it, for even longer kind of lasting. It'll still work on the other end. So I'm going to set this aside, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get to the rolling out phase, and that's a lot of fun too, because you're also playing with the gluten. The gluten, stretches and it contracts. It's a very dynamic experience. So I'm going to get in the refrigerator now, and like I'm some Food Network guy, I pretend like I've collapsed
on our high show.
Fourth dimension of time. Guess what? I have another pie crust.
And the magic of gluten. I feel like we're learning so much personal information about gluten that we just didn't know.
Yeah. I'll spare you even more details because
get to know your gluten.
Know your gluten. Yeah, I kind of feel a little strongly about that because gluten's gotten a really bad rap.
Lately, it is. It's not landing well these days. And I frankly, I can tell you someday. I'll tell you my gluten story when I move to high altitude.
Yeah. I mean, with all due respect to people who have celiac disease, I think the gluten phobia is maybe a little much. So I think it's important to think of gluten as like one of those great things that the human race discovered, and boy, we leverage it big time in the Corona kitchen, don't we?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're rolling out dough, I like to put a lot of flour on the surface where I'm rolling it. That creates a kind of a friction-free environment, and it also
tilt down.
Oh,
there you go.
Ollie, are you rolling it on marble? Is that what kind of surface?
No, this is sort of a composite. It's kind of like a swanky formica kind of thing.
Okay.
Is it kosher? Is it the right thing to do? I don't know. We're in the Corona kitchen, so I'm just making it happen.
Right. Tilt down a little more, Jillian.
So remember, I've been working the dough, so I've got flour and butter, so I'm sort of preparing the rolling pin for this because I don't want it to stick in the dough. I want it to, and I'll stop every now and again, get some flour. It's like a baseball player rubbing the thinway part of the dirt. So okay. And what I do when I start to roll out, I consider it like a conversation with the dough. Let the dough tell you what it needs. Not every pie crust you make is the same, and so you have to be open to that. And you have to be open to the possibility that, hey, this one is really not working out. You still have to bring it together and serve that, whatever it is you're going to serve.
You got to validate the dough.
Yeah.
The dough validation.
So the first thing I do, you can see, this crust that I swapped out, I don't like it as much as the one I just put in the refrigerator, And I have to deal with that. It's my problem, right? And I'm going to make it happen. But if you look at this crust, it's cracking a little bit, which probably means it needs a little more moisture. But you know what? That's a good problem to have because that means I probably didn't create quite enough gluten. And so it's going to be flaky. It's a good thing, And a pie crust that almost falls apart is better than one that totally holds together. Mm-hmm. It's all about the flakiness, right? So the first thing I do is I push down on it just to kind of see how it wants to spread out, right? I'll flip it, do the same. I'm not even rolling, I'm just pressing, And I've just pulled this out of the refrigerator too, so the dough's getting used to the room temperature. Okay. Now is the moment of truth. I start to roll it. And remember, as I'm rolling it, I'm creating even more gluten actually. So if I feel like my pie crust doesn't have enough gluten, I'll just roll it a little bit, take my time, create a little more gluten. So this problem of a pie crust that isn't holding together starts to kind of fade away, And so again, like I said, it's like a conversation with the dough. I know I probably sound like a total madman, but I am serious.
It doesn't sound like it doesn't sound
Can we get
it.
On this pie crust, I don't know. Can you see there's butter? Can you see that little butter?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness! See, I'm almost like my mouth is watering. I'm like, okay, that's exactly what I want. That's what that phrasage is all about, right? I've created a skid mark. So I'm like, ooh, this is going to be a good pie crust.
Nice.
So I'll take it, I'll flip it, I'm just trying to, I feel like a pizza chef almost, There's obviously no yeast in this, but I can kind of just, just see what this pie crust wants to do. It's looking good. It's looking really good. You can see how that diameter is expanding, I'm gonna like a baseball player, in the batter's box. I'm gonna like take a moment. Okay, now when I get to this dimension, now I can start thinking about the shape. It's not quite a circle, but I can fix it. I can make it a circle, So I'm gonna like work parts of it that I need to get more of a circular shape out of it, and the parts that I don't, I will stay away from for a moment. But you can see it's starting to look good. It's starting to look good. Getting a good circle, and at some point. I'm going to take it again. I'm kind of like touching it a lot, but I want to just get a sense of how. Oh, look at that! Can you see what the phrasage has done? Oh my God, that looks like a piece of marble. It totally does. I'm like in high heaven now. This is not what I expected right now.
That pie crust is into you, Olly.
Yeah, I'm channeling the gods of pie crust. I totally am. There's no doubt about it. Okay, yeah, this is looking good. Yeah, and I'm definitely creating more gluten. I'm sensing there's an elasticity. Brianna, you got your, I'm inspiring you. You got your roller out. This is good.
Should I go get
I know. At this point, I probably need a reality check to know just how much of a diameter I need, right? So I'm going to get my pie pan right here, and I'm just going to size it up.
Oh, perfect.
I'm almost there, right? I'm almost there. So I'm going to go a little farther. Oh yeah, I'm liking what we're doing here. I'm really liking it a lot. Okay, I'm going to flip it one more time. Beautiful. Yeah, it's looking good. It's looking really, really good.
Yum.
Yeah, okay. And the butter's starting to get soft now, so I really want to be mindful of that. I put a little more flour on my rolling pin. Okay. So now's the moment of truth. I'm going to put it in the pan. And remember what I said, we were going to blind bake this, which means we're going to pre-cook it a little bit in preparation for whatever we want to do. So because I'm blind baking it, I'm sort of committing to a certain number of choices. Quiche could be one, pumpkin pie, like cherry pie. And again, what the blind baking is going to do is going to pre-cook that crust a little bit. So when you put something wet in it, it'll have a little bit of an impermeability to it. So here I'm going to drop it in. It wasn't quite a square drop there. Okay.
Pretty.
I'm putting it in right now. This is looking good. I'm liking it. I was skeptical at first, but this is the thing I like about pie crust. You just never know. Sometimes it's like you're better. Oh, I don't know. I'm losing my way here, but it's you never know what's going to happen. Just keep your mind open, and failure is an option because you can always do it.
It always is.
It always is.
It always is. Yeah. So I'm cutting it. See, I've sized it up. Nice. And I'm cutting the extra with my same chef knife that I cut the butter with, a couple minutes ago, and I'm going to.
Now I want to see your edges. What are you going to do?
Yeah, this is the part of my pie crust I'm not feeling good about right now.
Oh no.
Yeah, I probably should have left more, but again, failure is an option. I remember when I was in cooking school, the pastry chef, she said, anyone can cook a nice dessert but not everyone can save the situation from total disaster when it materializes.
Well,
That is what a professional is, where you take crisis in stride and somehow live to tell the tale. And
Lisa
I'll
lived
tell
to
you,
tell her tale from her pastry fail last night. I had a pastry.
I'm just going to use a fork. Nothing fancy. I'm going to use a fork, and I'm going to
Yep.
make the edges a little artful.
Oh, that's nice.
I do that sometimes.
Yeah, this is an easy one. That's looking okay. I should have left more on the edge, but you know what? I'm
Well,
going to forgive
that's
myself.
pie dough. You could do it. You could add it if you wanted.
Yeah, I could. Should I do that?
It's up to you. What is the pastry telling you? What is the pastry?
What's the pastry telling me? Well, you know, it's telling me
Pastry whisperer.
let's go for broke. The pastry's telling me go for it.
Maybe it's saying
Awesome.
Jillian usually does the edges.
Yeah, or Jillian usually does the edges. Yeah, that's what the pastry's telling me. Where's Jillian?
Jillian's behind the camera and she's doing a great job.
And I'm going to use a little water here just to like glue it, so to speak. You know, again, this is still about gluten creation. You know, this process of adding an edge, we're creating more gluten here. You know, but that's what we want, right? We want some good structure on the side, on the edge of that dough. Yeah, this is going to work out. That was a good idea, Debriana, and a good encouragement, Jillian. Thank you.
Yay.
And yeah. And we're basically just listening to what the dough is telling us, Lisa. That's what we're doing.
I mean, that's what I'm learning.
It's saying, make me a big fat edge. That's what I want.
Do we have a plan for this pie?
Do we have a what?
Do you have a plan for the pie crust? Like, are you going to quiche it? What are you doing?
I would say, well, I think, Jillian, this might be your call, you know? I mean, I'm open, you know? It's a fork in the road, so to speak, you know? But I haven't done quiche in a while. I wouldn't mind quiche, but Jillian doesn't like eggs or is a little allergic, so I think it's going to be a pie, you know?
Yum.
Maybe
My favorite is fruit pie.
Oh, nice. So I'm going to go back to the fork.
There you go.
It's looking a little improvised, but I'm okay with that.
I like a rustic crust.
I don't mind a rustic crust either.
Yeah. Oh, it looks attractive. That's half the battle, right? You can make it look half decent.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, this is looking good.
Nice.
Yeah, this fork thing is really easy.
Yeah, that's the easiest technique, other than your fingers. Like my mom always did it with this way, you know.
I always do the pinch with 2 thumbs.
Yeah.
Right, so I'm not going to clean up my dimensions a little bit. Again, it's kind of a race against time. It's coolish in this room, so it's not that bad.
Down a little, Jillian, so we can see it. There we go. Oh, thank you.
Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So remember, we're going to blind bake it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to blind bake it at 425. And
are you going to weight it?
Yeah, and I'm going to do a very Corona Kitchen thing. You're going to see in a minute.
Okay, awesome.
And the problem is as it is these days, you know, you don't know what you're going to get when you order food from the your favorite grocery store or wherever it is that you have the privilege of shopping in these strange times. You know, they invariably say, well, there's some things that didn't make it on your list, or other things get swapped in. Point being, I usually use like these little clay spheres, you know.
I have those.
What you want to do, the foil is insulating the crust a little bit, and I've turned the shiny side of the crust down toward the crust, which is going to radiate heat into the crust.
Wow.
And what I'm using for weighting it down is rice.
Yep.
So and that's fine. It works.
I've used pinto beans. I was just going to say.
Yep. Pinto beans, rice, those little ceramic clay spheres I was talking about. I guess and Corona Kitchen kind of a sidebar, you know, that's what we had today is the rice. And so we're going with the rice. the potential downside is that you can't exactly use this rice for other
Right.
stuff in the kitchen. You're kind of using it up in the oven.
Yeah.
So here we are, and just to be clear, we're weighting it down because if you didn't weight it down, it would start to ulcerate a little
Right.
bit. So this keeps the dimension as flat as possible so that when you finally add whatever it's going to be, the fruit pie filling or the quiche mixture, whatever, it's going to have a nice flat home. Think of it as like a garage floor that's nice and flat or something. Right? So here's the pie crust, the pâte
Oh, it's
brisée.
beautiful. Bravo.
Yeah, it looks good. Thanks for the assist on the edge. I think that's going to be an interesting thing to check out on the other side of this. And
Yeah.
now we're going to blind bake it. It's about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Know your oven before you commit to the exact time, because if you overdo it, then it's going to be, if not burnt, just a little too,
What's the temperature, Ollie? What's the temperature?
I don't know if I said it a moment ago. I preheated at 425.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, if you do it at 475, do it less time.
Yeah.
You do it at 375, do it more time, right?
Yeah.
So I'm all about flexibility in the kitchen. I'm not hardcore into recipes. It's more about techniques, more about thinking about what you're doing, which probably explains why I gave you a little lecture about gluten. But I think gluten needs a little defending.
You're
Say
gonna
that
let
again?
that pie crust get to like a light brown. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, I would say.
Ultimately?
To me, it's almost, since I can't exactly see it,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I'd be looking for. So I'm imagining the light brown comes in, after 10 minutes, 10, 12, 15 minutes, So I'm sticking it in there. And
425. Okay.
this is where our journey ends.
Oh.
So
Thank
again, yeah, we have choices on the other side of this.
you.
And I think we're going to make a fruit pie, even though I'm dreaming of quiche lately.
Do send
And
us a photo.
Yeah, please send us a photo after whatever you do.
I will. And the other thing that I should say before I leave is that when you finish making your pie crust and you put it in the refrigerator for letting the gluten rest, I like to sort of prepare it into like a disc shape so it gets me started on the rolling out process, right? So it's a disc that's about maybe 4 inches in diameter, maybe about 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick. I wrap it up in plastic, and as I said, you could put this in the refrigerator for a good week. You could even freeze it, and it's usable. So crucial. So many things you can do in the kitchen with crusts. And I know we've just begun to scratch the surface here, so to speak, because there's all kinds of variations on the crust theme. And one of the things that I would love to do for you is make a tarte tatin, which is a recipe.
Yes.
Yay, yes, do that.
That would be fun. And that's using a pie crust too. It's different than what we've done with the blind baking, but that's something to think about. Would love to visit with you guys again. Thanks for having me. This is really fun.
Thank you.
And we'll send you a picture, all right?
All right. Thank you, Julian.
Okay.
Bye, ladies.
Bye.
Thank you, Julian. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that worked out.
Wow. I learned a few things. Did you?
Definitely. Yeah, I hope everyone did got to learn a little bit more about pie crust and gluten, our friend.
Gluten can be your friend. Well, the thing is that he's so right. It's not just like, there's food and then there's you. It's kind of like your relationship to planet Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It's a symbiotic relationship. You need to listen.
Mm-hmm.
You need to look and listen. If the dough's not responding, what are you doing wrong?
Yeah. What do you need to do to fix it?
Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool to look at it in that way, and we haven't really talked about that,
Yeah. Yep. About that energy that goes into the food making, and it's not just putting a whole bunch of ingredients together. I don't care what you do. Like I don't care if it's pie crust, anything. You're always sort of engaged in that process of what are you making? What is your goal for it to be at the end, and how is it going along? So
Well,
many things
also,
go into it.
are you present? You know, it's like any relationship, food or your plants or your children or your pets. You know, are you present? Or are you just like angry, throwing stuff together, and you're not communing with it? You know, you really need to stop and just, okay, I'm going to shut everything out right now, and I'm just going to
Focus.
put some love into this.
Mhm.
You know?
And I think that's really an interesting thing about what this time has gifted us with, is to be able to pay attention to our food, where it's come from, and how it shows up in our lives. It's such an interesting time.
It really is, and we actually have the time to think about this stuff. I think before this pandemic, at least, you know, I can say for me, you just rush. You try to find this time with food. You know you should, and yet we're just trying to keep up with everything we have going on and all the jobs we're doing and all the things we're responsible for. It's kind of a nice silver lining.
Yep.
Of the good part of it, of just back to that, having time to think about what you're creating for the people you're making the food for too. Like, who are you cooking for? You know? And you're thinking about them. And it was so nice that he asked Jillian, you know, what do you want?
Yeah.
You know? It's kind of like life.
Kind of like life.
Yep.
Well, thanks you guys for hanging in with us. We got through our first real.
Don't think that we don't deliver on our promises.
Cool. Thanks so much. We'll post it. And
enjoy it. Make a pie, make a quiche.
Make a pie, make a quiche. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Tomorrow's gonna be good and cheesy. See you then.
Okay.
Bye.
Manja. We did it.